And here we are on the Twitters.
Wow.
Huh?
Feels different.
Just like that,
Feel
yeah.
different. Hope everyone's doing well. Appreciate everyone tuning in for the beat just a minute ago. Once again, Ovi, the great 8. I'm so excited about tonight.
Wow.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that Vegas team is going to lay down, but I hope they do. They're not going to, but I hope they do. And by the way, you know what's funny? I found that if you call Las Vegas the Dave & Buster's of America, the residents of Las Vegas get real mad at you. I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know. Well, truth hurts. Sorry. All right.
We have gamesmanship, who cares?
I mean, some of us like reading, some of us don't. All right. Nevertheless, we move on. I'm teasing all of Las Vegas. We have our questions here. This is from one of my friends, Rafael Garcia. He writes, why doesn't, per our conversation just a minute ago, boys, why doesn't the UFC/Bellator denounce deplorable actions by fighters the same way other leagues do? See the NBA's response to Donald Sterling or the NFL's response to Jerry Richardson. Are those examples even of the same type? Who wants to tackle that one?
Oh, man. I mean, what was it? So they had a conduct code that they introduced.
Code of conduct?
Yes. They introduced
I read it on my live chat yesterday.
Yeah, and they did this, what? 3-4 years ago? I don't even remember. So remember, anytime something kind of weird happened, there was like somebody put out a strange tweet, like Forrest Griffin or somebody like that. There was some moments where people were. It felt like the UFC was trying to be more proactive and publicly.
And I think Matt Mitrione had made some comments as well that had got him sanctioned.
Right. Exactly.
Nate Diaz.
But I feel like all that's yesterday. I don't know what happened to all of this. I feel like all of a sudden we're just right back in the Wild West on that front. I know one thing. If I'm the UFC or Bellator, I don't want to be associated with Nazi tattoos and all this type of thing. I feel like
just signed a deal with ESPN.
I know, exactly.
And it was owned by Disney.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
So that's, it's pretty simple, really, when you come down to it.
All right, why don't they, Danny?
I think it has to do a little bit with, obviously, sort of Nazi tattoo is like a different sphere, but like when we talk about like certain controversial things that are tweeted out or said, people are tuning into the NBA Finals because it's the NBA Finals. LeBron doesn't have to go on a mic and talk trash about, the Golden State Warriors to get everybody to watch, the games. It's just, it's a sporting event and people tune in. Combat sports is a little different. You have to get on the mic, right? You sort of have to play this, the trash talking game and have to say certain things sometimes.
You have to spark a J when that camera finds you.
Yeah, I mean,
the camera.
I'm about to do it right now.
So, in that sense, that line sort of gets, blurred a little more when trash talking and saying sometimes controversial things like.
Okay, it's one thing for.
It's part of the sport.
Hold on. It's one thing for Colby Covington to be like, oh, you guys are nerds and virgins.
Yeah.
It's another one. And again, I want to be very clear about this. I don't think Mike Perry's a bad guy. I like Mike Perry. Yeah. But it's not acceptable behavior, man. Right. And you can say whatever you want about it. They just signed a deal with ESPN. I seriously doubt anyone at ESPN, if they knew about this at a high enough level, would be like, well, say la vie. Do what you want. Yeah. What? No chance. You have to sell those ads to companies. They want to associate their brand with. So I don't.
They didn't want to associate with MMA for a long time because of what it is.
I know this for a fact. I know this for a fact. UFC historically has had a really hard time selling ads.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. My only hunch is that if I can, my guess is that it has to do with the independent contractor employee thing, and that really enforcing a code of conduct gets to that point where you could say, well, what are these guys now?
Right.
And so they kind of just backed away real slowly, hoping no one would notice. And for the most part, people haven't.
I think you're right about that.
But I don't know what else it could be.
Well, they're going to have to tighten up on some level because obviously you can't let the inmates rule the rules. So I feel like, especially entering the ESPN deal, I would expect the UFC to up their game a little bit in this. You just can't have those associations. Yeah. I mean, that's the bottom line.
All right, what's next? All right. If you could make a 4-man tournament, Danny, for any division, who would you include?
Just look at Bellator's right now, heavyweight.
That's perfect. Hey, who's got jokes? This guy.
Call me crazy, but I really liked what the UFC was trying to do with Conor McGregor, GSP, Nate Diaz, and who was the fourth person?
Conor, Nate, GSP, and Habib.
And Habib, right, of course. That just sounds fun.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of the biggest one conceivable, isn't it?
The biggest stars.
I'd sub out Nate for RDA, but that's what I would do.
Okay.
I'd be okay with
Yeah,
that.
I'd be okay with that. But Nate Diaz being in it wouldn't.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah, it'd
I
be
wouldn't
great.
hate on
I
it.
think promotionally, like the build-ups to those fights would be huge, and on top of that, they're high-level fighters. These are not some chumps that just are talking.
It's also kind of pulling from, like, you got a divisional pull there because some of them have competed in other divisions and stuff. I feel like you could really get a cream of the crop if you did something in that setup. You know what I mean? You could go like straight down to bantamweight and find like a nice 4-man tournament and things like that. But I think when you're talking about those guys, you're talking about much more than just champions. You're talking about guys who are sort of transcendent, guys who are inconceivable that they might lose, guys who are legends in this game like GSP. So you put all those together, and that would be pretty mind-blowing.
I don't think you could do this because you'd have to arrange the tournament in such a way where your final could get you in trouble. But what I would do is 4-man tournament, right? I'd have Cain Velasquez versus John Jones, Stipe versus DC, and have the winners meet. Now, in the end, you could end up getting Cain versus DC. And again, that wouldn't work. But I'm just thinking, in an ideal world, what would I love to see? I would love to see like a healthy Cain Velasquez, because who knows what the hell he's up to.
Right.
Yeah.
But if he's healthy, him fighting John Jones, who we're assuming is back, and then we're going to get half of this already in a month. So.
Yes, and so again, adding John Jones to it, it becomes like interdivisional somewhat with the grades versus. So I feel like that's the only comparable is like you say that sort of tournament where you're introducing him against those guys.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of different lightweight permutations you could put in, because you could do Conor, Khabib, Tony Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson would be a fun addition.
GSP or some other kind of variation. You can plug in that fourth role, what they already had suggested, but of course he's injured and not available. All right, what's next? Is expecting a roster of 500-plus fighters, Chuck, to be able to cut weight properly a fool's errand without more invasive oversight?
Oh, man. This is Michael Carroll, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Fight Metric guy.
It is a tough ask. That's a lot of people, and the trust really comes down to that. So we know what the commissions have in place. We know what the UFC has in place. I remember Burt Watson back in. See, this is a weird thing. I don't know how many missed weights we had back in the day, but Burt Watson was always right there on top of those guys. I'm not saying he was helping them cut weight, but he was a kind of a mentor in this weird sense. Do you remember him? He would go around and just constantly be checking on the fighters, babysitter of the stars or whatever. Maybe they need something like that again. It sounds kind of silly, but I just feel like an encouraging,
like a House majority whip.
Something
a guy
like
gets
that.
Gets you,
something like that. I don't know what the real answer is because it's such a complicated question, and everybody, no matter what you say, like you plug one, you have 10 fingers, you plug all, there's an 11th hole, springs for you, your boat's still going to sink. It's just this is one of those situations where the camps themselves, you'd hope over time, would just know where their fighters should be. I mean, I don't know where else you're supposed to do. Because the extreme weight cutting, at some point, I hope becomes an archaic idea.
I mean, no matter what the UFC does or whatever they implement, fighters are going to miss weight. There's going to be issues in training camp, injuries that are not going to let people cut weight. So that's inevitable. But you can do certain things to sort of help out that the fighters are more successfully, are able to make weight. The answer to that, we don't know. I mean, we'll see if switching to the later weigh-ins is going to help out. But weigh-ins are going to happen regardless. Like, miss weights are going to happen regardless.
Did you guys see that? I tweeted it out before the show, the Guilherme Cruz article.
No.
So Guilherme Cruz, this is amazing. He talked to Waleed Ismail, the craziest, greatest man on earth. Yeah. A true Brazilian. That guy is the best. And he was saying, I guess he runs Jungle Fights. Jungle Fights has been doing this since 2013. And what they found, now again, I do think some of the circumstances might be a little bit different at the highest level, but what they found was they had, I think, close to 50 of these scenarios where somebody had missed weight. Well, they'll take a point, depending on how much more you're over. And you could have a situation where you're losing up to 3 points. And what they found was a couple of things. Number one, if a fight ended in a knockout, the guys who did or didn't miss weight were 6-6. If it was a decision, it was 1-7 against those who had missed weight. And I think if it was a submission, it was like mostly in favor of the person who did not miss weight. So it really evened out the playing field in that sense. And they only had, I think, 1 or 2 draws total. Because I know people were concerned, this would
that would be the big concern.
And inevitably it didn't do that. Now, we should be cautioned. This sounds like a lot of fights. It's still a very small sample size. But I have to say, those results are way more encouraging.
Well, that's kind of cool to know that somebody's actually doing that.
Yes.
I heard the theory brought up before, and there is a little bit of, so I don't know, you probably know the stat. The people who miss weight are overwhelmingly the victors in the UFC, right? Like So
yes and no, actually. If you look at the data, in 2018, yes. If you look at the data Mike Bond compiled, for the 2 years prior to the institution of the early weigh-ins. They were 12-15.
Wow.
Since then, they've been 27-20. That's still
Okay.
That's
I thought it was a bigger
this year. It's been something like 6-1.
Okay.
It's been dramatic this year.
I think the time has to do with it because like you have more time to recover. So even if you do like a super drastic weight cut, right, and you're trying to make that cut, and in the afternoon you fail to make it, there's less time for you to rehydrate and be at your top when it comes the next day.
Maybe it's more glaring, I guess, when they win after missing weight. Because Dern, for instance, she misses weight by a long way, wins and does her victory lap and stuff, and you think like, I wish I could kind of celebrate with you and feel good about that, but it feels like it just
You fought a different weight
right.
class.
So it takes something away from it in the end. So that might be something. I mean, I'll have to pay attention, I guess, more to what Jungle Fights is doing because.
Me too. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah,
I
didn't know that
had some
either.
other people comment to me that there are other shows in South America that try this. I'm sure there might be some in Europe as well. I don't know the answer. But I can say it's like, God bless regional MMA, man. These guys who can play around with the rules a little bit. Not so much in this country, but, you know, where there's, I guess, CAB MMA.
Yeah.
Well, when did they get created? I can't remember. Not that long ago. Point being is they had the latitude to try things.
Yeah.
That is what we need.
Yeah.
We're not going to know what
We were
works
talking about
until
open
someone tries
scoring
it.
recently,
And we also
you're
need the UFC to keep an eye on those type of things. Yeah.
So if
Can't
UFC's
just
not going to do it, get crazy ass Wally Ismail out there.
Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
True.
He already is, seems like.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? All right, so what do you think will happen to Iaquinta after he tweeted out fake news? If you guys didn't see this, I believe Brett Okamoto reported that Iaquinta is going to, or has verbally agreed to fight Justin Gaethje August 25th in, I want to say Lincoln, Nebraska for a UFC Fight Night card. And if you guys have been following, I don't know, if you're not following Al Iaquinta on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing with your life, to be perfectly honest. Even if you don't agree with the guy, he doesn't mind sharing his opinion with the world. You need more people like that, to be perfectly honest. In any case, he's been feuding with Dana on Twitter, calling him out all over the weight cutting stuff.
Right.
Then this report comes out from Brett Okamoto of ESPN last night. I believe he was the first to report it. And then today, before the show, you get the the fake news tweet. I mean, literally habitual line stepper.
Yeah.
He is Rick James in Dave Chappelle's sketch.
Like he saw the line and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go there.
Well, what was the tweet that got this guy axed? I'm gonna put it down to the letter.
Copy paste.
What's gonna happen, fellas?
He's gonna get fired and rehired again. I'm just kidding. I don't know what's gonna happen. I feel like Iaquinta, it's different because like he's been so critical of the UFC for so long that I feel like he kind of gets a pass from the UFC. That's sort of, I don't want to say his persona, but like, he's kind of just been against the UFC for so long, and that's kind of become
It's kind of like the
endearing in a
problem
way.
child.
Yeah.
It's like a problem child that the parents at some point are like, they give him a different set of
yeah.
treatment because they're like, he's always acting up, you know? I feel like that's kind of the way the UFC treats him. But
I'm told that there was like I forget which Twitter tirade it was, but it was one of those weeks where he's out there just, slashing and burning like a samurai. And that he later, I forget who he hit up for tickets. It may have been Dana, it may have been one of the other matchmakers, but they gave it to him. And they were just like, yeah, sure, he can have tickets to the local. And they didn't even like nothing,
And like even just little things like, for example, at UFC 223 when he fought, they didn't make his sign for the media day. Things like that, and he had to make his own, and just they misspelled his name at the press conference. Just things like that.
I don't think those things are intentional.
I don't think so.
I just think the
that
MMA gods are funny.
he
that way.
does love to exacerbate.
Right.
Yeah. He'll take it to its umpteenth degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
he should. He should raise certain awareness to things that are going on.
sure.
You know what I mean? And he's done a good job of that, honestly.
Also, it's a question of like how do you best represent yourself? Like, because it's a leverage world, right?
Yeah.
See, Al's like one of these guys who has figured it out because Cajun Johnson is unabashed about his opinion, but I don't think has yet to develop fan support as a fighter yet in a large scale way. And they just keep giving him super tough fights. Like his next one's Islam Makhachev. Ha, okay. It's like, who can we give him that no one knows that is like as tough as shit? Oh, right. The guy whose first name is Islam. But Al Iaquinta's in a bit of a different spot because he kind of already broke through before he had this red pill awakening moment, right? And he does it the right way, I think, which is if you're going to represent yourself, go all in.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a treasurer of Project Spearhead, and I'm going to be super combative, and I dare you to cut me because this will only exacerbate your problems.
There's also, he balances out his blowhardism by just telling the truth in other ways. When people are asking him and expecting him to complain about the pay he got to step in on short notice and take that UFC 223 fight, he was like, no, I'm fine. I was paid adequate. I mean, he did not tried to trounce on that. He could have done anything. But I think that if he's just trolling the UFC and he's just saying, he would have, but he's not. He literally is giving his opinion of what's going on in many of these situations, and he judges what's fair and what's not fair. And he's not afraid to tell you about it. So,
and maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, but at least he's honest.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the things he was apparently also at odds with Dana about was that, according to Dana, and I don't think Al challenged this exactly, but that according to Dana, so take that for what it is worth, that Al thought if I'm going to fight higher ranked guys, should be entitled to more money per their ranking. Now, exactly how much and in what capacity, I don't know. But Danny, should he be paid more to fight higher ranked guys?
I mean, then he would have to deal with one-fight contracts every time he fights, right?
I don't think he cares about that, trust me.
I don't think so. I just think as long as he has his contract and he's happy with it, and they honor that contract.
Spoken like a real estate agent who's dealing in commissions.
I
and
know,
stuff.
right?
You know what I mean? Like, it's like he's treating it almost like, okay, wait, this person's is on the market listed over here. I want to make sure that I'm getting paid that amount of money.
It's a more valuable property.
Yeah. Yes,
I should be compensated as a consequence.
That's exactly right.
I don't know how successful that's going to be. And I hope, by the way, the fight gets made. I hope it is actually not fake news, because Gaethje versus Iaquinta.
It's a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
I had never contemplated it until I saw that, and I have to admit, well, anything you plug Gaethje into, I think, is going to seem, you're going to raise an eyebrow at. But Iaquinta, for whatever reason, you see that matchmaking, and I was like, okay, I could get behind that fight.
Yeah, it's hard not to like that one.
Yep.
All right, let's keep it rolling. What do we got? I don't have too many more of these. Oh, simple. Go-to cocktail. All right, Danny, I'll be curious about this one for you. What's your go-to cocktail?
Negroni.
Negroni?
Yeah.
You mean the beer?
No.
What is Negroni?
It's Aperol, gin, and
You are so Colombian.
Yeah.
there's something in there that I don't know.
You like gin?
Yeah, it's all right.
Not a big gin drinker.
Yeah.
You like gin?
I don't drink at all, but no,
You don't?
I'm kidding, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
It's like, I think I've gotten hammered with you.
I would say probably more so than any is beer. I would just grab a beer. I'm like that kind of guy. But if it's a cocktail, the Boulevardier is good. It's just a whiskey drink, or I like whiskey-based drinks. So like I'd probably go with
I
something.
know,
like
we
that.
are white guys, aren't we? It's like the whitest thing on earth is my favorite alcohol is bourbon. Ugh. What's your favorite beer?
See, this is where me and you start to become our ways. I do like the IPAs, but I like the New England craft IPAs that are going on. The Treehouse, all the good stuff that's kind of coming out.
Do you have like a local brew that you go to?
Kent Falls is really good, right there in Connecticut, and there's one called Nepco, the New England Brewing Company, that has like Fuzzy Baby Ducks and all those. Those are all really good beers. I mean, and I think that it's interesting. I'd like to know what you think of their IPAs.
I think IPAs are not as bad as they used to be.
Yes, they've certainly made.
There was this hops arms race that happened a few years ago that I think they've dialed it back from.
It's a little ways off of that now.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, those are. I think that I try to frequent those spots a little bit.
I always try to drink local if I can.
What's that?
I always try to
same
drink
here.
local if
Same
I
here.
can. That's the way to go. Do you a beer drinker at all?
Yeah, but I'm not too picky. I don't have like a specific beer that I like to try different beers. I'm not a huge fan of
like
IPA.
a New York beer you like?
No, not really. I don't have a specific one. I just
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go to the bar, I just get either
Clamato.
something cheap like a Tecate or maybe like a PBR or something.
Wow, you are a Brooklyn
That is a
Holy
hipster.
shit.
That is the PPR
cheap.
was like reclaimed in hipsterdom, like in Brooklyn,
cheap,
man.
so-
I know they were like,
I know, it's got some appeal. It's like, just so everyone knows, you're drinking piss if you drink PBR.
Not that bad.
Garbage.
What do you drink?
Not that.
Okay.
I got my pinky in the air when I have Jim Beam and Diet.
Bud Light.
All right, so let's talk about this. So I go for all right, are we talking about for transactional purposes of getting fucked up, or for like good taste?
You go to the bar. You go to the bar this weekend.
Nah, if I go to the bar, I'm gonna get fucked up.
let's say
I'm not-
like you're
right.
watching game 5 of the Stanley Cup.
All right, so tonight.
Yes.
All right, it'll most likely be probably Jim Beam and Diet Coke on the train. That's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
I like balancing
But I
with the
don't.
Diet
But I
Coke.
don't present that as like anything good. It's terrible,
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard, rot gut bathtub bullshit. Right? It's just I drink for effect. So I'm trying to get to the point where I can't drive legally, and then I want to drive. No, I'm teasing. But I'm just saying I want to get super, super hammered. And so the beer would just take a long time. I just go right to that. So
Appreciate your candidness on this. I feel like this is one of the steps in that 10.
Do you think I have shame? Because I don't.
Absolutely not.
Okay, if you're gonna drink wine, recommendation is to have Chardonnays. Those are high alcohol wines. Usually get them around 18%. So if you're at a party and you want to get your guests fucked up, serve Chardonnay. If you're looking for beer, I drink local beers. I really don't like national beers that much. So in my neck of the woods, you got DC
Natty?
Brow. No, Natty Bo. That's for the toothless, purple camo army
Friday
of
Light?
Baltimore. I'd rather die than associate with Baltimore. Are you kidding? No. DC Brow is one. They have a series. That's the company, is DC Brow. And then Right Proper is another good one. 3 Star is a good one in my area. So I look for the local taps.
Anywhere you go. You
Anywhere
wouldn't
I
get
go.
like
Yeah,
a
that's- I do the
Corona
same.
or any.
I'm not a peasant like you, Danny Segura. I don't
Thank
drink
you.
that
Yeah,
trash. Dude, you go to Colombia, you want to know how bad the beer is? It's undrinkable. It's the
It's not
worst.
that bad. It's not that
What do
bad.
you drink in Colombia?
Club Colombia,
Oh my,
Aguila.
all right, wait, which
Aguila's
one?
pretty
Which,
decent.
Aguila is basura.
Club Colombia is pretty good.
Club Colombia is
Beer's
is fine.
beer.
Club
I don't
Colombia,
know.
Here's
Sorry.
beer.
there's the exit, Danny Segura. No, don't leave. I'm just teasing. I need to abuse you. If I'm actually gonna have a cocktail, like a nice place, a real cocktail, what would I have? My dream is to go to a really fancy place and order like a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah.
I want a Long Island iced tea. Trying to get hammered in your establishment. But for real, if I was trying to do it, that's a tough one. Usually I get the craft cocktails that are specific to that bar.
Yeah.
You get the ones with the umbrella.
No, but I do like a Mascherano cherry in my cocktails.
You're talking about Long Island iced tea. I have a story about that. I used to wait tables a long time ago when living in California at a place called the Hamburger Hamlet, which is a nicer restaurant than it sounds. It sounds like a fast food, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
a sit-down restaurant.
Okay.
Dr. Dre used to come. There was a lot of celebrities. It was right there in Sherman Oaks, which is over the hill from Hollywood. So there were a lot of celebrities. But Dr. Dre would come in there and they'd order these schooners of Long Island iced tea. And everybody would go, oh, I'm waiting on him because you knew what he was going to do. And a lot of times they would order one apiece, him and whoever he was with. Sometimes it was another celebrity. Sometimes it was just some guys with. It'd come to maybe $20. He'd always throw down either a 50 or 100, and that's it. He was out of there. I just thought that was awesome.
Did you ever talk to any of these guys?
Oh yeah, I mean you sit and talk to him, but I mean it just one Long Island iced tea, just throw down a 50 or 100 and not expect change. That was, that was cool. I wish I could revisit my waiting days, but get everybody to tip like that.
That is fun. You ever waited tables? No?
What's up?
You ever waited tables?
Yeah. I worked at a Peruvian restaurant called Mochica. I had to wear a tie and everything. Fine
Really?
dining. Yeah.
How was the lomo saltado?
It was good, but it was like a fusion because there was a lot of seafood, a lot of ceviche, with leche de tigre and corvina and all that.
I never waited on a celebrity, but I waited. Last thing, and we'll move on.
Oh, I did wait on Miss Colombia.
Which year?
Well, she was Miss Atlántico at the time, so this was maybe 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That
was pretty
Did you
cool.
wet your pants?
What's up?
A little?
No.
Did you tell you were Colombian?
No, I didn't really want to bother them. They were doing their own thing. I
okay,
waited,
okay.
but I did go back and I was like, yo, that's Miss Atlántico to the owner, and we were all like, what the fuck?
Dude, Colombians are hilarious. You ever been to? Did you vote recently in the presidential election?
No, I haven't.
Did you go to these voting places and they're all wearing their Colombian soccer jerseys? Their national
Dude,
pride.
the World Cup is around the corner. What, 8 days?
I know,
now?
but it could be 4 years from now and they'd still be doing it. They're really funny people.
You gotta represent.
Hey, they do. What else we got? Here we go.
What?
The internet must know. Chewbacca versus Robocop. Who wins? Let me start off by saying this. Did you guys see the new Han Solo movie?
No,
No,
I've not seen it.
How are you?
we're not nerds.
You're not a nerd? You found a mirror recently? How are you not a nerd?
Why?
I don't watch whatever you're talking about.
Does Chewbacca give you does he have new wrinkles in his game? What's
If
going
you're
on?
not pro Chewbacca,
But,
you're fucking dead to me. Chewbacca is literally my favorite Star Wars character by a mile.
You see a lot of resemblances.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
First of all, it's called a playoff beard, son. You better recognize. People are like, why aren't you shaving? I'm like, because I'm a fucking man. That's why. Also, I want my team to win.
You're in rare form today, man.
I'm pumped up, dude. It's game 5, man. It's game 5. I'm ready to go. But this is a playoff beard because you can.
You sure there's no Jim Beam in there?
I wish, dude.
Soon.
My dream, if our boss Brian is watching, I would love to do this show hammered. Please acknowledge that.
Sure. He's
That would be the MMA after.
Yeah.
How about this? Do you have a favorite? You have a favorite
maybe.
sci-fi or fantasy character from the movies? Has there been any kind of weird movie like that or alternative movie where you really identified
Which one
with
was
the character?
Twiggy from? Twiggy from
Could you two
Battlestar-
be more
Battlestar
boring? What's going
Galactica.
on here?
I don't know. I mean, I love Star Wars, universe. I would go with, to answer the question, I'd go with Chewbacca. I didn't really like...
That's the only acceptable response
Robocop,
here.
You know?
So it can't be human, the character?
No, it can be whatever you want. In this case, Chewbacca is the only acceptable response, but...
Yeah. I'm big into Batman movies.
Okay,
Like,
all right. Which iteration of them?
Well, my favorite were the Dark Knight, but the silly ones back in the day, I mean, those were fun to watch too when I was a kid.
Do you even know about the Adam West version?
Probably not.
The 60s ones?
Holy gee.
Oh, the 60 ones? Oh, is that the one where it'd be like,
Yes.
pow?
Yeah, the onomatopoeia.
Yeah. I saw those. Those was pretty bad.
Adam West was the...
Have you noticed those were the same exact choreography every single time, just different setting?
Hey, man, they got to make like 20 of those in a week. They got to figure that out. Adam West, of course, was the voice of the mayor in Family Guy. Do you ever watch Family Guy?
I've seen it, but I don't.
The crazy ass... Okay, what do you watch, Danny Segura? You're like, I don't watch Chewbacca. I don't watch Family Guy. In fact, I don't watch nothing. I just sit in a room and look at the walls. I'm not a dork. What do you watch?
That's exactly what I do. Well, I don't have TV because I'm a millennial, so.
That's true.
For starters.
When are you going to play Sean Sheehan again?
So that rematch is pending. I don't know. Whenever he wants it. I'm the one that has the W, so whenever he wants it, he can get it.
What are you talking about?
They played FIFA against each other.
Oh, okay.
And I beat him.
All right.
Favorite TV show before we go?
With
birthday,
Atletico,
Sean,
and he had Real Madrid, by the way. Just
Yes, that's the only time that's going to happen, buddy.
we'll see in the
That's
Super
the
Copa.
only
We'll
time.
see in the Super Copa.
Do you have a favorite thing you watch on TV? Nothing? No?
Not really.
Wow.
Sports.
You know what? You guys are real fun. Real fun.
do watch a lot of sports.
You going to watch the Game 5 tonight?
I will, just because of
Are you going to
this,
support my team? I support Colombia.
We'll see. We'll see.
What? How are you going to cheer for Vegas?
I'll watch, and I'll be completely unbiased. I'm just in it for the experience.
All of your MMA
I'm not gonna
media
support.
colleagues are rooting for Vegas because they're all out in Vegas.
I know. Absolute, reprehensible. They're looking like the bar in the Osmiley Cantina.
There aren't
All
a
the
lot of
donks
Caps
at the
fans.
bar there, huh?
There aren't a lot of Caps fans in terms
Well,
of...
hold it. It's more than you think. It's me. It's Todd Martin.
Okay.
It is Greg Rosenstein from ESPN.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else in DC that I'm leaving out. We don't get any.
From MMA Media?
Yeah, from MMA Media.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rooting for him only because I root for your fan base to finally get that moment.
26 years, the city hasn't seen a champion. I'm hoping, please God, please God. All right, I think that's it. I think we've overstayed our welcome. You two donks apparently don't do nothing.
No.
You don't drink. You don't watch TV.
I drink, just not your drinks.
Well, you need to start.
I go to the bar and I get the beer and the shot.
Oh, do you do the Boilermaker?
No, just you get like a PBR and a
Like
shot
for
or a
$5 or
Tecate.
something,
Yep.
right? Yeah, I do that too. I'm not above that.
does, you know.
All right, well, that's it for us. We appreciate everyone contributing. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen next week because it's the Conor McGregor hearing, so that may complicate things. We'll be on our toes. We'll do, obviously, everything we can to have a show next week. We appreciate everyone tuning in. For Chuck, for Danny, I am Luke. Hands up, chin down, let him fly. This is the MMA Beat, and let's go, Caps! Woo!